Everybody grown in here, right? Rated M for mature. I'm saying, don't get me wrong, nigga love the kids, but this ain't no little kid rap right here. I don't know. I might have to make y'all rock a certain color wristband to bump this. Hell, you might even learn a new word before it's all over. Try to keep up, youngins. Yeah.
All right, so this is your girl, LSpencer. I'm on the phone with no other than Rah Digga of Jersey. Super excited. This is a Lyrically Fit exclusive. Why don't you say hello to everybody, Rah?
Hi, world. How y'all doing?
We miss you so much, girl. We just want to get, a couple questions out there. I do things a little different. All my questions are going to be referring to ladies and hip-hop. And I'm sure that you'll give us some great answers, some great feedback.
Okay.
So the first question I have is, everybody should know by now, if they've done research on you, that you got your first deal with Q-Tip. But what I want to know, is, when was the first time that you picked up a pen and pad and realized, you know what, I got this. Like, I'm hot.
Well, the first rhyme I ever wrote, I was 12. And I think I knew I had it back then. I was in 7th grade, elementary school, and I was kind of like the captain of the girls team. I didn't like apply for the position, but I just think out of all of the counterparts in my class, it was just understood that I do it the best. So I just became like the honorary, head of the girls. And then there was like a guys, like a little guys rap coalition. And I used to just always square off against this dude. There was like one dude, his name is Cornelius, and he was really, really good with freestyling. I would say back then, he was probably the equivalent of LL.
Okay.
So I used to have to go against this guy, or, it'd be like a girl raps, a guy raps, a girl raps, a guy raps. But when this guy stepped up, everybody would just kind of, like, I never really stepped forward. I just think everybody else just kind of stepped backwards, and I was just left standing there like, okay, so it's my turn to square off against this one, okay. And he used to embarrass me. Oh my goodness, he was so good. Like, I was just learning how to rhyme, so I was really like going home every day, writing verses and memorizing them. But he was really good, like off the head. Like, he would just say something on the spot and had a whole schoolyard laughing at me, and it would just, I don't know, I think it kind of fueled me or inspired me to go home and write more, write a longer rhyme, a tougher rhyme, and before I knew it, I think I just kind of carried that attitude throughout the rest of the way. Like, I think with every music venture that I've encountered, he's always been like in the back of my head. Like, remember how you felt when, Cornelius rhyme? You make sure when you get in this studio session that you have the best verse. That your rhyme is the hardest. So I think that kind of set the tone for like Rah Digga and what her style would be, because I really came into it, I guess, from a battle rapper's perspective, and I think a part of that just always kind of stuck with me.
I was just about to say that, like, hearing that story, now I know why the hardcore lane is your lane, like, by itself. I don't think anybody comes harder on tracks than you do, but it's still ladylike, so I definitely appreciate that.
But like, all through high school, because I actually went away to boarding school for high school, but even throughout all of that stuff, I still was telling myself that I'm going to put out a record. Like, I've been saying to people since elementary school, I'm going to make an album when I grow up. I'm going to make an album when I grow up. Like, I didn't realize that I could have an actual rap career because I was very much into school, and I actually wanted to be a rocket scientist when I grew up. So it was understood that I was going to school, that I was going to be this rocket scientist. My parents was paying all this money for private high schools and college, but I still knew I was going to make a record. And I think it wasn't until my second year of college that I finally just had to, that was my moment of clarity. Like, okay, seriously, I need to focus on making my record. and I left college my second year, and then everything has been everything else is history.
So that brings me to my question. You are a college alumni. You're obviously very intelligent. You could tell that in your rhymes. Your life could have went totally different. Do you think that conversation when you had with Q-Tip, I watched a couple interviews and you said that, you were in this non-smoking section because you were pregnant, you were 8 months pregnant. You said, look, Tip, I got 1 more month to make this happen or it's going to be problems. If Tip would have said, I hear you, and left the combo like that instead of saying I would sign you, do you think that you would have took, a career in rocket science or, or what have you at that point? Would you have left rap alone?
At that point, at that point, I was kind of already in a good place as far as like getting a buzz, cause I was heavy on the lyricist lounge circuit, and I had a nice amount of music already recorded, like for a demo. So I'm not sure if I would have completely abandoned that, but it would have definitely been harder because now I would have had this newborn at home with no money, and at that point I would have probably had to get any job just to support the baby, or I would have been at the mercy of social services, and I think the struggle probably would have taken. I can't say it would have taken a toll on me because I just always knew this was gonna happen. Even like while I was pregnant, like I was still running around New York performing like it wasn't nothing. Doing SOBs, Maria Davis at SOs every Wednesday. Like I was doing these shows pregnant, like. So I think once the baby got here, there probably would have been more arguments with my parents to babysit. But I think I would have still persevered. At least when I had her, I had my record deal like kind of right then and there, so it was a little easy to pacify my parents while I go off to this studio and that studio and stuff. But I think had I not been blessed with that signing bonus right there, there would have definitely been some holdups because I would have had to go out and find work like immediately.
Right. Your daughter's a teenager now, right?
Yeah, she just turned 17.
Wow. Does she know or realize the impact that you've made on hip hop?
Oh yeah, she does. I think she gets it more now that she's older than she did when she was younger. When she was younger, I think she was just kind of annoyed by all that stuff. It's like, we're in Toys R Us, we're in the mall. This one wants a picture. This one wants an autograph. So I think she used to like rebel against that a little bit. And but now that she's older and looking back in hindsight, it's like, wow, my mommy is the shit.
Right.
Yeah, like now she can understand lyrics and things like that, and she's very like knowledgeable of other artists and what was going on when I was out versus what's going on now, and I think she sees that okay, in 2013 my mommy's still dope. Everybody else that
right.
that was rocking with her and her era don't quite sound the same.
Not so
I
much,
think,
right?
Like, I think not so much. So I think she understands that like I really have a natural knack for this.
Okay. This brings me to this question. 99% of female rappers, you probably being the 1%, but 99% of female rappers are single women with no kids. Is that the formula? Like, is that a requirement on the application that you fill out?
You know what? It seems like it's, it's funny you should mention that because I've thought about this for a long time. Like I noticed like the females that don't have kids um were in the tabloids more. I guess just because they were out and they were dating, whereas like I was with my daughter's father the whole time, so I never really, I guess, got to experience that whole, well, I dated this NBA player this year and I dated this one this year, and like that whole, I guess the perks of celebrity dating, the gift or the curse, whatever you want to call them, all of that kind of missed me, and even the same with Remy. Like I know, like she has a son too, and I felt like when the mothers were maybe a little more settled, whereas the rest of the girls that were single kind of just or didn't have kids or anyone to really necessarily tie them down. I always thought, or part of me thought like, well, maybe that that has a lot to do with their success. I mean, aside from the musically and everything, but just I guess just staying in the public eye. It's like, okay, you're not releasing music, but you're constantly in the public eye for dating this one or that one. And I was like, I wonder, would I've been more successful or stayed more in the public eye if I had been that person instead of like, no, I'm not at this party and that party, and I'm not getting a chance to network as much as I would like to because I'm home with my kids. So there is a part of me that always wonders like what kind of artist or how much more success would I have achieved if I didn't, if I wasn't home being mommy all the time, because I didn't, I only went to clubs when I had to. And I've never been the, oh, come on, girl, let's go, let's kick it, let's make the town red. Like, since I'm not that person naturally,
right.
I've always wondered, like, if I was that person, would I be, would I have been in a different place? Statistically or whatever, as far as like as far as the numbers game go.
Right. I mean, I think that's something that everybody scratches their head on. You know what I mean? I just wonder why that is.
At the same token, I feel like it. Well, one thing, it's a very demanding job. Like, there's no way I could have even accomplished half the stuff I accomplished if I didn't have like a good support system. Like my dad pretty much retired when I really started like hitting the road and stuff, because there's no way to have a kid in this business and do everything that you need to do as far as the females go. Like the guys, a lot of these guys, they live in these studios. They live on tour buses. They live for traveling, but they got a wife or a baby mama at home kind of, handling that. So when you're the one that has to do that and travel, like, it's impossible to do it without a support system. So I think if you're already in the mix, it's probably hard to find time to slow down to do that.
Right. So you were originally, I guess, quote unquote, the chick in the crew, and it seems like that might be the way to go, because I've never seen a female just come out on her own dolo and do her thing. I've seen females like you of course, who have branched off and done their own thing. My question would be, do you believe that a female rapper could do a Master P, a Diddy, or a Jay and Dame type of thing and start their own?
I don't think it's just females though. I think it's kind of like that. I think it's like that for male and females. I think with most new artists, until someone with status co-signs them, they kind of just like live in the underground, or in 2013, they'll live on the blogs. Like, Kendrick Lamar, this is like his third album, but people that are, I guess, internet savvy and in the know and really on the blogs like that, they knew who Kendrick Lamar was, but it wasn't until like Dr. Dre really co-signed him that he became this phenomenon. And to me, it just seems like, that's the case for everybody. Like, Jay-Z needed the co-sign from Jazzo. Puffy got his credit. Well, he started off on the executive level, but I feel like there are women, that could be Puffy. It just takes a certain type of animal to be that mogul. I mean, we all know you can't be uber successful without fighting someone along the way. And I think women are more sensitive when it comes to certain, maybe certain business decisions and things like that. Women might be a little more, partial to people's feelings and, things like that, whereas men kind of have, they have that
that cutthroat mentality.
They got that ruthlessness to just kind of do what needs to be done and elevate their status. So I think that might be, something that would keep a woman from maybe graduating to the levels of Puffy. I mean, as Puffy is number one on the Forbes list, but how many stories of scorned interns and things like that are we going to hear? And I just feel like women probably wouldn't be as ruthless as the guys. But I don't think it's a man-woman thing that keeps it from happening. I think that, I think we're just like different creatures, and as far as like getting into the business, it definitely takes a cosign, whether you male or female.
Okay. Have you ever aspired to have your own record label, or would you do something like that?
I mean, I've thought about it, but it's a big responsibility, especially if you're an active artist yourself. And I think a lot of artists, they get in these positions, they get this bulk of money from a label and say, yeah, I'm gonna run this label, But when it's time for them to be an artist again, that's where their heart is, and it's really hard to be administrative and creative at the same time, that's why I think artists make like the worst CEOs. Like, who's gonna, if you can't call the office and get your boss on the phone because he's like at a video set, and things like that. I think complicate the situation, and when it's time for that artist to be an artist, sometimes the administrative stuff suffers. So I think for that reason, artists make the worst label heads, and I just know how I am as a person. I don't want to be responsible for anyone else's life like that. Like, I don't mind consulting or, giving someone guidance and kind of walking the dog for them, but, if a decision I make is the reason why, your album doesn't come out for another 6 months or another year or something, like, I don't want that stress. And artists can be egotistical, self-centered bastards, and that would just be another problem. Like, artists can have serious personality clashes, and I just don't want that headache. My tolerance is very low for laziness, so I just don't want to, I wouldn't want to be in a position where, like, I have to be responsible for someone else's life.
I can dig it. You're very smart. I just want to say that you speak very intelligently. It's eloquent the way you speak, and it definitely is reflected in your rhymes. And what it brings to mind is that every female from Jersey, like Lauren, Queen, Lady Luck, it's all the same. Do you think that's a Jersey style? Like is vocab our style? Because usually Jersey gets overlooked. You're either attached to Philly or you're attached to New York. Jersey doesn't really stand alone by itself. And even now that I'm thinking, Redman has great vocabulary also. You think that's like Jersey style?
Well, I mean, I'm quick to say that I think Jersey, has some of the best lyricists in the game. Um, I've always felt like we took our lyrics more serious